Hello, beautiful people. It is Friday, December 29th, and I figured that I would do a final video for the year. So we completed our 12 days of Vlogmas. We did an unhaul for Vlogmas, gave some books to my local library that they were going to take to the Dallas Medical Center. And I had some space and got some, book money, if you will. Got some book money for the holiday, and I decided to go ahead and check out my local Barnes & Noble and grab some books. Oh, I say my local Barnes & Noble like I still live in my hometown, but this was like the Barnes & Noble that I grew up going to as a kid. It was like the place that I studied for tests in high school, the place that I went and hung out before I could drive. I would just have my mom like drop me off there and just get a little respite to myself and hang out in the Barnes & Noble, eat a pretzel, drink some coffee, whatnot, read a couple books, look at the books, browse around, and all that good stuff. So to me, that's my Barnes & Noble. Even though there are other ones, it's that one specifically is the one for me. So I decided, since we did an unhaul, let's do a book haul for the end of 2023, ringing in the new year here. Some of these are going to be familiar if you've watched some of my other vlogs, because I did talk about a couple of them that I purchased a little bit earlier, and then some of these are going to be brand new because we just got them after Christmas. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on in. Okay, our first book that we picked up, and honestly a new favorite for me. So excited about this series. I've been talking about it to anybody who will listen to me, so hopefully you too. This is the Mirror Visitor series. I did talk about this in my last Vlogmas vlog because I did take the second one with me, which I picked up. Actually, I didn't pick this up. So I think I talked about this in another vlog as well, but I'm part of Allison Page's Pocket Pages group, and we had a bit of an unofficial book exchange for the holiday, and one of the lovely people there got me the second one because I was so desperate to read it after I finished the first one. If you're not familiar with this series, the Mirror Visitor series is by Christelle Davos, who is a French author. So this is a book that is translated. It's a 4-book series, and it focuses on Olivia. She lives in this arc. So this is a world where basically the world as we know it is a post-apocalyptic world, in the sense that the world as we know it has like exploded, and everybody lives on these different arcs, which are like these pieces of land that just somehow kind of float in the air. And they don't really explain all that thus far, but I feel like we will get to know a little bit more about this later on in the series. But so Olivia lives on Anima, which everybody kind of has their own different powers, and then they have these family ancestors who are supposedly descendants of God, of the God in this story, and all of the people who live on these arcs are descendants of them. And so Ophelia's family lives on Anima, and they're animist. And so from what I understand is they just have an affinity with inanimate objects. So for example, Ophelia has a scarf that she wears that's kind of like, it acts kind of like a snake, and it reacts to her when she gets over emotional or like has different emotions. When she's angry or anxious, the scarf will kind of act up, and if she's calm, it'll be kind of chill. So that's really interesting. And then what's really special about Ophelia is she has the gift of reading, which is something that is known for animists, but not everybody is as talented at it. And so she's a very talented reader. And basically reading something, it's like if I handed you this book and I was the last one to take it, she could feel the book with her bare hands and be able to gain a sense of my emotions while I had this item, and just kind of things that were going on through my head, and maybe get glimpses of past events and things like that. So in this series, Ophelia has been putting off marriage, and she ends up being set up with Thorn, who is from another arc. And Thorn lives in the Pole, which is like this very rugged, dark, this arc that a lot of people don't know a lot about. And then once you get there, like, it's very different from where Ophelia comes from. these people are ruthless, and there's a lot of political kind of intrigue and things going on that Ophelia kind of gets thrown into the mix with. So I finished this first one beginning of December, end of November. I probably should check my story graph, but I finished this first one, was dying to read the second one, and so a lovely person in our Pockets Pages unofficial, unaffiliated book exchange picked up the second one for me, which I told you I was going to bring home for Christmas. So I did end up reading some of it on the plane back to Dallas, and I am about a third or so of the way through this one. Supposedly this is the best one in the series. I am having some fun with it. I cannot wait to see where Ophelia and Thorn go from here. I will say I like the romance in here. I feel like the characters are, I don't know, I like it. It's not like over the top romance, so it's kind of just part of this story, and I really like it. It feels very authentic to the story and doesn't feel like we're being hit over the head with it. So if you're not like, if you like fantasy, if you like world building, if you like kind of post-apocalyptic, dark intrigue, political intrigue, I think these books are for you. I definitely recommend picking them up. I cannot wait to get through the second one and continue on with the series. Next, another book that I got from a lovely person from the book exchange is In the Company of Witches. This one I put in my list because I saw that Allie from Allison Pages read it, and she said it was just a warm, cozy kind of fantasy situation. So that is In the Company of Witches by Orly Wallace. I am excited to read this. I think it's just cute, and it's got a kitty on the front. We love a kitty on the front. Next, I do believe I talked about this in my winter TBR. So this is The Beast Player. I picked this book up the same time that I picked up A Winter's Promise. It was described to be kind of a Studio Ghibli-esque story. I think I already read the synopsis on this one, but definitely check it out. I haven't read it yet. It's sitting on my TBR, but even the cover, gorgeous. Gorgeous. But yes, so that, if you want to hear more about it, I'll go ahead and link that somewhere in the cards. But excited to read this eventually in the winter here. Oh, the last one I got from our books exchange, which I found this, when did I see this? I saw this somewhere and it looked so intriguing. So this is The House Witch by Delamain Hatch, I think is how you pronounce that author's name. It's just a one name. I guess I don't know if this is a pseudonym or something, but it is supposed to be like a cozy fantasy romantasy situation. And interesting enough, this seems to be a male lead for a romantasy, which I don't feel like we find often. I will give you the synopsis here. It's actually pretty long, but we'll go ahead and read it. So when Finlay Ashawan joins the staff of the King and Queen of Daxaria? We'll go with Daxaria. Daxaria? We'll go with Daxaria. He's an enigma. No one knows where he comes from or how he came to be where he is, which suits Finn just fine. He's satisfied simply serving as the royal cook, keeping noisy passerbys out of his kitchen and concocting some truly uncanny meals. But Finn's secret identity doesn't stay hidden for long. After all, it's not every day a house witch and his kitten familiar, Kraken, take to meddling in imperial affairs. As his powers are gradually discovered by the court, Finn finds himself involved in a slew of intrigues, going head-to-head with knights with less than chivalrous intentions, helping to protect the pregnant queen, fending off the ear of the royal mage, and uncovering a spy in the castle. And that's only the beginning, because Finn's past is catching up with him just as his love life is getting complicated. Filled with fascinating characters, courtly intrigue, political machinations, delicious cuisines, cuddly companions, magical hijinks, and will they won't they romance, The House Witch is the first in the captivating new series guaranteed to satisfy the taste of readers. So that is The House Witch, and it's such a cute cover. Yay. So I'm excited. I don't know. It could be good, it could not. We'll find out, but it's super cute. And I am so thankful to my friends over in the Pocket Pals for gifting me this. It's so nice. Okay, so now we are getting into the books that I picked up with my bookish Christmas dollars, if you will. So the first one that I picked up is The Goodbye Cat by Hiro Arikawa. And honestly, like, this cover alone, I mean, look at her. I'm a sucker. And it sounds really emotional because it is about, ooh, look. I keep collecting these. They just keep giving these. And I don't buy bookmarks, so I'll probably just lose them. So it's great to get some free ones. I will just read you the little teaser here. So it says that 7 cats weave their way through their owners' lives, climbing and comforting, nestling, and sometimes just tripping everyone up in this heart-tugging and inspiring collection of tales by Hiro Arikawa, the international best-selling author of The Traveling Cat Chronicles. Doesn't that sound emotional and sweet? And I just love that so much. So we're a very kitty-friendly household here, and I am excited to dive deeper into this book. Next, this one I was, so you know, Barnes & Noble does their end of the year sales and things like that. So I was influenced by Katie because, not because she necessarily recommended this particular book, but because she said that T. Kingfisher was her favorite author. And I went into Barnes & Noble's not with really any particular book that I wanted in mind, just wanted to see what was there, if there was anything I was interested in. And I saw this really short novella by T. Kingfisher called Thorn Hedge, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to introduce myself to this author. Shout out how pretty this inside looks here. Isn't that nice? Yes, this is T. Kingfisher's Thorn Hedge. Thorn Hedge that says, "Not all curses should be broken." There's a princess trapped in a tower. This isn't her story. Meet Toadling. On the day of her birth, she was stolen from her family by the fairies, but she grew up safe and loved in the warm waters of fairyland. Once an adult, though, the Fae ask a favor of Toadling. Return to the human world and offer a blessing of protection to a newborn child. Simple, right? But nothing with fairies is ever simple. Centuries later, a knight approaches a towering wall of brambles where the thorns are thick as your arms and as sharp as swords. He's heard there's a curse here that needs breaking, but it's a curse Toadling will do anything to uphold. So I'm interested. Again, this is really kind of a novella here because it's only 108 pages. Figured this would be a great one to pick up, kind of a little short introduction to this author and see if I'm interested in picking anything else up from them. Next, another book I was influenced by both Katie and Allie from Alice in Pages is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. So I've heard quite a bit about her by following both Katie and Allie on YouTube this year. More of a fantasy person personally, but I do like a good sci-fi here and there, so I figured I would give her a try. I did want to pick up the robot series. I know there's a better name for it and I will find it, but I did want to pick up her other series, The Psalm of the Monk and the Robot? The Monk and the Robot series. I wanted to pick that one up, but this one was on sale and that one wasn't, so I decided let's go with this first, plus it is a trilogy, so some more books to read. But I'm excited to give this one a try. It sounds cute and fun and a good combination of found family and sci-fi and things like that. So I'm happy that I picked this one up and I'm excited to see what Miss Chambers has to offer. Next, The Inheritance Games. I know I'm late to the game. I'm late to the party here. This is a YA novel. I think it's the only technically YA novel that I picked up. Well, no, that's not true. So the Mirror Visitor series are considered a YA novel, but honestly, I don't know if I would consider them YA. I feel like the only character, there's only 2 characters that are really younger in the Mirror Visitor series, and I do believe that Ophelia is somewhere between like 18 and 21. Thorn seems to be in kind of a similar age range as well. And then like the subject matter, what's going on, I don't know. To me, can you call something YA just because our protagonist is younger? I don't know. It's a question. Let me know in the comments. What do you think is a YA? I think to me, there is, I don't know, like I feel like the majority of the book needs to take place in something that's a lot more centered around that age group and what they're dealing with, and I don't necessarily feel like those do. But that is just my opinion. And maybe it's just a skewed opinion of YA, so I love to hear what you think is considered YA or not. But so this is, in the YA section, considered a YA series, apparently a very popular one. I know Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte is a really big fan of this series, so I decided to check it out. If you aren't familiar with this series, like I wasn't up until very recently, I'll go ahead and read the back for you. But again, I do know that these are pretty popular. It does seem like there's at least 3 or 4 books in this series. What this really reminds me of is that there was a podcast back like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and it was a podcast, like a storytelling podcast, and it was a horror storytelling podcast. So each episode was like a different story, and then there was an overarching story along with it, and I will link it down below. It's called Darkest Night. It's by the Paragon Collective, and there is a story in there that kind of, it does connect to the overarching story of the podcast, but to me was like an adult version of what this feels like. Now, reading the synopsis, I don't think it's quite the same, but that is what it reminded me of, where there was a billionaire who had multiple children, and they are given these tasks that they have to complete to see who's going to inherit the fortune in this company. And there is one person in there who's an adoptive daughter, so she's not, you know, born into this family, and she's competing against these other kids. But kids, they're adults now, but that's what it reminded me of. I have no idea if it's similar to that, but it was pretty interesting. If you're ever looking for a horror podcast, that one's been out for quite a while, but I believe it was like there, according to the chart of all their shows, it looks like they've got a lot more now at the Paragon Collective. But I have listened to 2 of their podcasts. So I did listen to Darkest Night. I've listened to, at least I completed the first series in totality. I don't think I ever got through the entirety of the second season, but they're really good. I highly recommend it. And then they also have a shorter one that's called Deadly Manners. There's RuPaul in it, and Kristen Bell, and quite a few other people, and it's a kind of murder mystery in a mansion. It's a shorter series. That one's a lot of fun as well, so check them out. Okay, 2 more books in this book haul, and then we'll call it wraps, I guess, for the end of the year. So the next one is The Poppy War. I know I am late to this one. I still have Babel on my shelf right now, which I still yet to read, by R.F. Kuang. This is R.F. Kuang's The Poppy War series, and this is book 1. So since I picked up one series, I thought I'd get the start of the other one. I was going to pick up the 2 books in this, but I was like, let me make sure I like it. I think I'll like it, but we'll make sure. First, if you're not familiar, the Poppy War series, very well-known series by R.F. Kuang, and I have heard good things about it from various booktubers. So that's the first one in this trilogy. Feel pretty excited about this one. Excited to read an R.F. Kuang. Again, I do have Babel, which I do intend on reading as well. I probably will get to this one first. This sounds like it's a little more up my alley, but we'll see. And our last one. This one, I've seen it multiple times, don't really know much about it. It's Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. And this was in like the sci-fi fantasy section. So like the brief synopsis is that it's an adult epic fantasy debut inspired by Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra, and it is a fiery collision of power plays, spilled blood, and romance amid a set of deadly games. Some interesting intrigue, political playing, fun stuff. I am excited to check it out. I've not read any of Chloe Gong's books, YA novels, before, but it sounds really interesting. I'm excited. Barnes & Noble, please stop putting stickers here. Stop it. What is this? Why? Don't put it somewhere where it's gonna be easy to take off. This is gonna leave a residue. It's gonna get sticky, it's gonna get dirty. Let's not do that. Oh my gosh, this is a good stack. So there we have it. That is our book haul of 2023. First, it's fine. So that is the end of our book haul here. I have really enjoyed getting back into reading this year, so I wanted to give a shout out to the booktuber community for inspiring me to get back into reading. I really found solace in reading when I was a teenager, and I am so excited to throw all of my books around, but I'm really excited to continue on this reading journey going into 2024. With that in mind, I'm gonna wrap this video now because I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, and we've got things to do here before we close out 2023. I hope that you're doing something special, whether it's sitting with a good book and taking a little sip of champagne or the like when the ball drops or whatnot, or if you're going to spend time with family or friends or go out and have fun, whatever you're going to do, I hope it's great to close out this year. Thank it for what it's brought, say good riddance to some of the other things, and hope that 2024 will bring you a lot of joy and happiness. So I will see you next year. Bye!